Assalamu alaikum. I'm Fasih,
And I'm Laura.
and welcome to another episode of the Theology Sidequest, where we are discussing the Ten Commandments. And today we're going to be discussing Commandments 7, 8, and 9.
Let's get started.
So the eighth commandment is simply stated as, "You shall not steal," which is reference Exodus chapter 20, verse 15.
We have some interesting, huge differences in the punishments for stealing, but we need to put like a little asterisk for what you have to do to meet the requirements for these punishments.
To start, we have chapter 4, Surah An-Nisa, verse 29. O you who believe, do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, except through lawful trade by mutual consent. So it's telling you under what conditions you can actually consume property or wealth. And wealth would include cattle, any property basically that a man is willing to part with for a sum of money.
So this is basically regulating your business dealings. It's telling you not to be dishonest in your business dealings.
The next one is chapter 2, verse 188. Do not consume one another's wealth unjustly or send it in bribery to authorities in order that you may knowingly consume a portion of the wealth of others sinfully. So here it's even more specific, where it's telling you don't indulge in bribery. Don't bribe someone so that you get a favorable outcome over somebody else, because that would also be considered stealing.
And you're basically consuming someone else's property once again.
And the next one is 83 verses 1, 2, and 3. So it says, "Woe to those who give less than to you, who, when they take a measure from people, take in full, but when they give by measure or weight, they cause loss." So again, this is another type of theft where, let's say somebody's charging $1 for 1 kilo of potatoes, but they're measuring right in front of you, and somehow they change their measure and they don't give you 1 kilo of potatoes. They give you 900 grams of potatoes. That would also be considered stealing, because he's charging you a price for 1 kilo, which is $1, but he's giving out 900 grams.
So being dishonest in business dealings is stealing, and then it's regulated. There is obviously Quranically there's commandments against that.
So, and you have chapter 5, verse 38, right?
And as for male and female thieves, cut off their hands for what they have done. A deterrent from Allah, and Allah is Almighty, All-Wise. So I have a bit of a caveat for this, because if you're starving, you're not gonna lose a hand for stealing a loaf of bread. Okay. And there's also my mathematically gifted friend here, has done the calculations, and he's going to give that in a second. But in contrast, in the Jewish paradigm, if you steal something, not only did you have to replace or return what you have taken, but there's I think at least a 20% restitution in a way. And I don't know why in my mind it triggers like a usury, because it's not only are you getting back, but you're not only are you being restored, but there's like an upcharge. And so I found that a little interesting, which I don't know if you could necessarily class that in that way. It may just be like that's the cost of the punishment, but I found that to be interesting. For this, for the math in Islam, you want to give that, because I'm math lexic, guys. So know your limitation.
So basically, this is called nisab. Nisab is some sort of rule. So nisab for theft, there's according to the four major schools of thought in Islam, so the Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, and Hanafi. So Maliki, Shafi, and Hanbali, and I also think the Jafri school, they set the price at quarter dinar. So dinar used to be gold. So anything above the quarter dinar of theft, which could be proved with witnesses, would basically call for the had. We call it the had punishment, or the limit punishment, because you cannot do more than that. So this is the absolute limit of how you can punish somebody, right? So somebody that has stolen quarter dinar or more, that is what would be considered clearing the bar for this limit punishment of amputation. So quarter dinar is about 1.0 grams of gold. And as of yesterday, which was 30th of January, 2026, 1 gram is about 119 pounds, which is 126.16 pounds, which is around $173.53. So if the currency was pegged against the gold, this figure would not change. But because we live in a time of fiat currencies and the currency is not set against the gold, so this fluctuates. The other one, which is another major one, is Hanafi. Hanafis put the limit at a bit lower. So that is 10 silver dirhams. So dirhams used to be made out of silver. So about 29.7 grams of silver. The value of which, as of yesterday, 30th of January 2026, 1 gram is about 2 pounds and 37 pence. For nearly 30 grams of silver, it's about 70.389 pounds, which makes it about $96, about 82 cents. Again, so these are very specific things. So imagine if you are stealing a loaf of bread. It's never going to clear the bar of this for you sustaining yourself. Okay? So what is done out of necessity is something else, but what if done out of greed is something else. Even with the nisab that is given, amputation did not apply unless some of the conditions were met, which are that it was stolen from a secure place, which is hirz. The theft was intentional. The thief was not starving or coerced. The property was lawfully owned. So you can't just claim something on the ground that was lying around and not owned by someone. You can't just claim that that was my property and somebody stole it. So, and that there's no ambiguity that this person stole something specifically. So proof is established by confession or strict eyewitness standards. So all of these conditions made amputations very rare. So they weren't routine. So if somebody who's trying to feed himself or their kid just a loaf of bread, that's not considered something that clears the bar for amputation.
And understand that, this was created as a deterrent. And so, like, there's a severe punishment to discourage. In this other paradigm, like, there's really not a punishment. You just basically have to pay more if you get caught. So I can see I would not want to take something that doesn't belong to me. I wouldn't want to touch anything that didn't belong to me in this paradigm, which is exactly what is designed to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I have 1734, which is do not come near the wealth of the orphan unless intending to enhance it until they attain maturity. Honor your pledges, for you will surely be accountable for them. So this is basically, don't steal from someone that you have charge over, which I think is it's a good thing. You don't steal from someone who doesn't have a protector, especially if you're the protector.
Mm.
It's the same, really, as 2 and 188. Do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, nor deliberately bribe authorities in order to devour a portion of others' property, knowing that it is a sin. This is the same thing. You're consuming someone else's wealth unjustly.
All right. So let's move on to the next commandment, which is bearing false witness. So in Exodus chapter 20, verse 16, it states, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor." Now, what do you have for that one?
So I have 24 and 4. Those who accuse chaste women of adultery and fail to produce 4 witnesses, give them 80 lashes each. And do not ever accept any testimony for them, for they are indeed the rebellious. So, of course, this has, multiple parts. But for the bearing false witness portion. This is literally in court, right? And you're never to accept any testimony from these people again because they've perjured themselves. They've proven themselves to be liars. I've also 2572. They are those who do not bear false witness, and when they come across falsehood, they pass it by with dignity.
So there's 2 verses before that, so for context, right? So this is verse 70 and 71. As for those who repent, believe, and do good deeds, they are the ones whose evil deeds Allah will change into good deeds. For Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. And whoever repents and does good has truly turned to Allah properly. They are those who do not bear false witness, and when they come across falsehood, they pass it by with dignity. So I think this is being said as a sign for people whose deeds will be turned to good deeds, and people who repent. So that's one of the things that would be a hallmark of a true believer, basically, because they speak up for whenever it's required, or whenever uh, you know they don't touch bearing false witness. They won't indulge in it, basically. And then I have chapter 33, verse 70. O believers, be mindful of Allah and say what is right. So this is a command.
So if you go back to 69, actually, O believers, do not be like those who slandered Moses, but God cleared him of what they said, and he was honorable in the sight of God. O believers, be mindful of God and say what is right. So I think that kind of goes contextually, kind of goes together.
So in the verse 70, the word being used is the same as taqwa, right? So it says, Amanut taqullahu. So taqwa we've discussed in one of the previous ones in, I think when we did the episode for the first 3 commandments. So it's be mindful, have proper respect and proper fear of your creator. And you have to say what is right. That is now that it's being stated as a commandment. So I think it's very simple and straightforward, but it hinges upon having the taqwa, having that fear and respect for Allah, giving God the proper respect.
Yes.
Because he is all hearing, all seeing, so that's why.
I also see here too, though, that it says, "Don't be like those who slandered Moses, but God cleared him of what they said, and he was honorable in the sight of God." So whenever these people were bearing this false witness, or they were perpetuating this slander or this lie, and so that's a lesson for us as well. Don't repeat things that you have no knowledge of, because you could be wrong.
Okay, the next one we have is chapter 22, verse 30, which is, that is so, and whoever honors the rituals of Allah, it is best for them in the sight of their Lord. The meat of cattle has been made lawful for you, except what has already been recited to you. So shun the impurity of idolatry and shun words of falsehood. So I think bearing false witness also extends to when you slaughter meat. I think this is why this is here. Okay. It's a general commandment, but it also applies to who created everything around us. So if you're taking the name of another god that is not a god, it would just be an invention. So do not bear false witness. So shun words of falsehood is basically saying that. All right, then we have chapter 4, verse 135. O believers, stand firm for justice as witnesses for Allah, even if it is against yourselves, your parents, or close relatives. Be they rich or poor, Allah is best to ensure their interests. So do not let your desires cause you to deviate. If you distort the testimony or refuse to give it, then know that Allah is certainly all aware of what you do. So the witnesses, be the witnesses for Allah, right? Stand firm for justice as witnesses for Allah. This is a general advice, and you're commanded to be truthful, even if it goes against yourself, even if the truth is not on your side, or your parents, or any close relatives. So you are not supposed to benefit from lying about any matter, basically. Specifically when it comes to the cause of Allah, okay, which would be following the commands of Allah.
And this also includes not giving your testimony when it's necessary. Whenever you refuse to speak on something that you know, then this is also the same thing.
Basically, the lie of omission.
Yeah.
You can't do that either. Okay. This is chapter 2, verse 283. If you are on a journey and a scribe cannot be found, then a security can be taken. If you trust one another, then there is no need for a security. But The debtor should honor this trust by repaying the debt, and let them fear Allah, their Lord, and do not conceal the testimony, for whoever conceals it, their hearts are indeed sinful, and Allah fully knows what you do.
So this is the same as withholding something that you have knowledge of when giving testimony.
Right. So the lie of omission, you can't do that. Then we have chapter 16 and verse 105. No one fabricates lies except those who disbelieve in Allah's revelation, and it is they who are the true liars. This is again a general indication of who would be considered a true liar. They bear false witness based on what they say is the revelation. And I suppose this would include a particular set of Jews and Christians. So if they are the true liars, then should we really be trusting them at all? Certain individuals come to mind.
Yes. It's hard to it's hard to speak on it because I don't want to lump people in together because what do you say? Just because you call him Darren doesn't mean he belongs to Darren.
I mean, I suppose that I'm talking about, the current debate scene. Certain people come to mind because there are certain people who they lie like it's like the true nature.
Yes. Listen, I tell you, there are some of the Christian apologists, there's one in particular that will lie to suit whatever the conversation is. And what I actually was thinking about doing, because it's who I am as a person, I was actually thinking about putting together a montage of him saying one thing in one context and then saying the exact opposite in a different one. But this
See, you do take notes. You do take digital notes.
No, what it is the particular brand of I don't know if it's the TISM or the ADD, but the pattern recognition is like, wait a minute, didn't you just say XYZ over here? And then I fixate on that and I'm like, you lie. I can't trust anything you say. But it's just like this. This is the taking the long way home saying, presenting whenever you know something to be false, right? And you use it to your advantage here. It's very, very Pauline. We haven't talked about him in a while, because what did he say? Like he's this to this one and he's that to that one and he's that to that. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But it also says that if you forward things by your lie, like you're still doing something wrong. So that's what that brings to my mind.
Okay. All right. So with that, I think we're going to move on to the 10th commandment, which is coveting your neighbor's property, basically. Now, this is a bit interesting. Like, this is from Exodus chapter 20, verse 17. It states, "You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or maidservant, or his ox, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor."
So for me, right, I find that a lot of people don't really understand what coveting is, right? People think that coveting is being just like envious or jealous over what someone else has. It's more like a pathological envy or a pathological jealousy, which is you fixate on something that someone else has. You feel like this should be yours. It's not just simply looking at something and being like, oh, I wish I had one of those. It's a fixation on the fact that this person has this thing and you want it.
Basically saying this belongs to me rather than this other person.
Or it should belong to me. Why do they have it?
Yeah.
It should be mine.
I also made a note about this one specifically, which is that this would technically be considered property law.
Yes.
So everything that is mentioned is belonging to a man. So from the perspective of a man, no woman is mentioned. Whenever a woman is mentioned, it's either as a wife or a maidservant. So this is belonging to the man of the house. With that, keep in mind that there is this last part where it says, or anything that belongs to your neighbor, which would include the children. And I was listening to this specific content creator, and he was talking about property law and with respect to women, how wives are considered property of the husband and daughters are considered property of the father. So whenever you read certain Deuteronomy verses and the 50 shekels is mentioned, basically that's penalty for property damage. That's the view of certain scholars. I had certain names, and let me just see if I can read some of them. I'm not sure if they word it exactly as that, but there's Raymond Westbrook, Tikva Freimer Kensky, Phyllis Tribble, David P. Wright, and Carol Myers. So these are some of those scholars, biblical scholars, that talk about it in the context of it being property law. Now, you see a marked difference in the way the Quran states this. I mean, and none other than the first verse that we have, which is chapter 4, verse 32, right? And it states, "And do not crave what Allah has given some of you over others. Men will be rewarded according to their deeds, and women according to theirs." So both are equally responsible for what their deeds, whatever deeds they do, right? Rather ask Allah for His bounties. Surely Allah has perfect knowledge of all things.
And then I have 20 and 131. Do not desire the worldly advantages of others. And I feel like this is also like a material gain. Don't be envious over or don't desire what worldly gain someone has had. It's like you look at someone's house and you're like, why don't I have that? Um, because it's not for you.
So the verse basically says, "Do not let your eyes crave." In another translation, by the way, "Do not let your eyes crave what we have allowed some of the disbelievers to enjoy. The fleeting splendor of this worldly life which we test them with, but your Lord's provision in the hereafter is far better and more lasting."
We have a particular thinking process whenever it comes to lust, right? But this is a lust, a type of lust. It's a desire with intent to possess, but it's like that. It's a lustful sin. It's like you're lusting or you're desiring something that someone else has possess. And I think whenever you look at it that way, you get a better picture of like the desire part of it, right? Because you are lusting their property.
This is sort of like a warning as well, though. Why? Because do you know what? If you notice, whenever we're doing sessions on any platform, and people are like saying, "Well, if your God is so good, why don't you have this? Why don't you have that?" So they use possessions, worldly possessions, as a means to say that they have been rewarded. But this is a warning. Don't be fooled by somebody else showing off what they're like, specifically these disbelievers.
Mm-hmm.
That they have so much. Like they mean to take you away. This kind of connects to the next verse that I have here, which is from Surah Baqarah, which is chapter 2, verse 109. "Many among the people of the book wish they could turn you believers back to disbelief because of their envy. After the truth has been made clear to them, pardon and bear with them until Allah delivers His decision. Surely Allah is most capable of everything." So, what are they envying from us? We have the clarity. We have clarity in laws. We have the clarity in who God is. We have the clarity on what we are going to receive in the hereafter. But what do they come and show off? Their worldly possessions.
I
Do you see what I'm saying?
do. I find it interesting, they wish they could turn you believers back to disbelief because of their envy after the truth has been made clear to them. So once they have knowledge of the truth, they want to cause you to deviate and return to disbelief. That's that is pathological. Like, who would do that?
Yes. Who would do that? The person you were talking about earlier.
I know. I find it interesting because, just specifically in that particular context, whenever you have someone who studies this, studies Islam for the purpose of refuting it, you've come across the truth. You've come across the truth and you have You have purposely rejected it, or
Mm-hmm.
you've used it, um, twisted it. So that's this. That is 100% this. Right? What is it that you obviously envy? You obviously, because of your speech betrays you, as they would say, right? In the way that you say things. Whenever people are speaking to you and you say inshallah, like, why do you say that? Why do you say that? You're not Muslim. You're an English speaker. Why do you say that?
To mock.
I find it fascinating because I feel like there is a part that sees this as true, knows this is true, and doesn't feel like they can't
Mm-hmm.
come to this they can't, because they've already they've got so much riding on it.
The next verse basically describes what it is. Okay.
Hmm.
So let me read it. So this is from
Yes.
chapter 57, verse 23. It says, "We let you know this, so that you neither grieve over what you have missed, nor boast over what he has granted you. For Allah does not like whoever is arrogant, boastful." Do you know we were talking about the pathological part of lying with the example that you were giving? Pathological lying is nothing but arrogance, right? Because they know what the truth is, but they're still going to lie. They're going to twist the truth. They're going to boast about it, that they know it.
Yeah, there's an intent to do harm, though. That's the pathology is that it's harmful, or there's intent to do harm. So I
But
find it
arrogance does harm in other ways too.
sure.
For example, if you start being arrogant about your wealth or your knowledge
Hmm.
or anything else that Allah has granted you, you will cause harm to others, like you will make others feel less than.
Yes.
And that in turn will make them envy you. Envy is not a good thing either. Humility is good, right?
Yes, and I think that that's the other side of that. I think that the other side of, this envy or covetousness would be humility and generosity and charity.
There is a prayer in chapter 113 for that. So this chapter is asking for protection. Let me just quickly read this. And it says, "Say, O Prophet, I seek refuge in the Lord of the daybreak, from the evil of whatever he has created, and from the evil of the night when it grows dark, and from the evil of those witches casting spells by blowing onto knots, and from the evil of an envier when they envy." So this is the last verse of the chapter. "And from the evil of an envier when they envy." So somebody who envies you, that is what you're asking refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Because what will they do?
Coveting.
Right. But I mean, I'm saying, like, what harm would they do you? Like I said, there's a certain pathology here. What harm would they do based on this envy or this covetousness that they have for you, or what you possess, or what's been granted to you?
I suppose somebody that is motivated enough would probably go bear false witness, do
Sure.
XYZ, all of the commandments that we were talking about, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I suppose this is quite an important prayer then,
Yes.
to be protected from the evil of the envier when they envy.
Yes. I like it.
Okay. All right. With that, we shall say goodbye to this episode, and we shall see you for the next one, where we will be discussing the Sabbath. I think that is going to be an interesting episode,
Yes.
and we have a lot to say about that.
Yes.
We will see you in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.